Wales up against France. It's the third quarterfinal for the Rugby World Cup 2019. It's an interesting one. Both of these teams are undefeated going into the quarterfinals. Obviously, France, though, had that cancelled game against England, so they didn't end up with a perfect record. They didn't get a chance to. Wales in their pool beat all comers. So it is going to be an interesting match. There's been a fair few changes for both sides. I suppose for kind of different reasons, but I'll get into that. I'll put the lineups in the description so you guys can have a look. In terms of the recent meetings between these teams, it has been mostly going Wales' way with 4 out of the last 5 being wins for them. France with just the one win. But if you look at the average score across those 5 games, the average score is 19-15. So they're not really blowout results. They tend to be pretty tight affairs. I think all those 5 were in the Six Nations. And if you looked at this year's Six Nations actually, France were looking pretty good in that first half, but Wales over the course of the 80, as they've kind of proved to do this year as well. Over 80 minutes, Wales are a very hard team to beat. So, that's kind of been the story of their recent matches. So, it is going to be an interesting one. Wales have made a bunch of changes, like I said. I'll go over the squad, starting with the front row. It's Wyn Jones, Ken Owens, and Thomas Francis. So that's an all-new front row, but if you look back at the fixtures that Wales have had, their most recent game was against Uruguay last Sunday, so it's an exact week turnaround for them. So 6 days of rest, playing on that 7th day, so it's a week, which is the standard where most competitions that play week in, week out, that's kind of the rest period you get. But that game against Uruguay was on a short turnaround, so they really shifted up the team for that Uruguay game, and it's kind of shifted back to some of the top guns for this game. So it's Wyn Jones, Ken Owens, and Thomas Francis, like I said. So Owens and Francis didn't play in that last game, but they are brought back into the squad for this one. Wyn Jones was on the bench, so he is now starting. Jake Ball is back from the bench. I don't even know if he got off the bench in that last game against Uruguay, but he is back starting along with Alun Wyn Jones, who again didn't play. And he is captain. He is racking up the caps as well. He's among all the all-time test cap getters at this point. We'll see how many he can get furthermore at this World Cup. There's still a chance for some more depending if they progress here. Aaron Wainwright moves back to the 6th jersey with Moriarty. Moriarty's still on the bench. Navidi is in at 8. He didn't play in the last game, and Tipuric continues on at 7. So yeah, that's the forward pack for Wales. For the backs, Gareth Davis is back at 9 this time. Last time he was kind of on the bench as a potential utility back cover. I think he had 23 on his back last time, but he still came off and scored a try like a winger, so there you go. Dan Biggar is back in the 10 jersey. There's been a wee bit of talk from, I think it was Brunel, saying that he might not have played Biggar based on the head injuries that he's been suffering, but the talk out of the Welsh camp is that he is good to go. Biggar didn't play in the last game, so he's had that time to recuperate, and fingers crossed he is 100%. Hadleigh Parkes continues on. The guy's had a broken hand, and it maybe showed a little bit in some of his handling, as some of you guys have alluded to in the comments. But he's still trucking along. The guy's played a whole lot of minutes in this World Cup, and that continues. Jonathan Davis, his regular midfield partner for Wales, is back in the 13 jersey after not playing the last one. George North is back. Josh Adams switches back to the left wing, and Liam Williams is back at 15. So it's a whole lot of changes. It's only Tipuric and Hadleigh Parkes who played in that last game in their same positions, with Wainwright and Adams also playing, but in different jersey numbers. So it's a much changed Wales side, but that's not ringing the changes for the case of, I guess tactically trying to beat France. I don't think. It's just the fact that the last time they played was on the back of, I think it was 3 days rest, and the 4th day was the game. So they needed to refresh the squad. So the bench is Elliot, Rhys, Carre, and Dillon Lewis. It's mostly the same. We said Dillon Lewis is down from the starting 15. Adam Baird, likewise, down from the starting 15. Moriarty continues on. Thomas Williams is still on the bench. Rhys Patchell is down to the bench. And Owen Watkin is also down to the bench. So it means, unfortunately for Lee Halfpenny, despite the fact that he got man of the match in that last game, no room for him in this side. But it is a very, very impressive looking Welsh squad, so that's the reason you can leave equally impressive players out of it. For France, not as many changes, but they've had a 13-day rest period. So like England and kind of like the All Blacks, there's a bit of a question on how will they do in terms of their match fitness, because it's all well and good to have the rest, but there's a potential of getting a bit of rust. I mean, 2 weeks is not the end of the world, so it's not like having a month off. So you'd think these guys are still going to hit the ground running, but I guess time will tell. And France, I mean, their last game was against Tonga on the 6th of October, and they only won that one by 2 points. So they weren't that impressive, but they still won the game, so that's the main thing. But you still feel like France have got one game in them where they can just be world beaters. So whether that's this game or not, we will find out. The lineup is Poirot, Girardeau and Slimani in the front row. So Girardeau is the only change. Whatever issues they had with the French camp, apparently between Girardeau and some of the coaching staff, seem to have been worked out by the fact that he's back starting, and he is captain for this one. Leroux is up starting for this one, so Gabriaga is down to the bench. And Vaha Hamina is also in the second row alongside him, so he continues in his spot. Laure, Aldrit and Olivion. The back row, I believe Aldrit and Olivion have swapped jerseys for 7 and 8, so Olivion at 8 for this one. The backs, Dupont is back at number 9, and Ntamak continues on at number 10. It's a very young 9 and 10 combination, so if you are French rugby supporters, you'd still have to look at Dupont and Ntamak and hope, the future looks pretty bright. The fact that you've got these really young guys starting at 9 and 10 in the World Cup will do them the world of good, even if they lose this game. Going forward, that's valuable experience. The midfield is Fickou and Vakatawa. Fikkou's come back into the 23. Penaud and Huget are 14 and 11 respectively, so Huget's back into the team. Penaud played in the last one, and Medard continues on at 15. The bench, Camille Chat, he's down to the bench from the starting lineup. Bailly, Setiano, Gabriel, like I mentioned. Picamos is back on the bench from outside the 23. Serran is down to the bench. Lopez continues on the bench, and Rates is a new call up into the squad. They've had a few injury replacements have France. I mean, they lost Fofana early. Bamba didn't get a game. They lost Ramos, they lost Malvaca, so they've had to call up a fair few replacements there. Squad has not been as settled as perhaps some other teams. Interestingly, there's no Gitoun. I thought he was playing pretty well. The guy's got some serious gas. No Raka. I think many Welsh fans will probably be pretty satisfied that he's not there because he's a danger man. And Aturia could not make the squad either, so it is an interesting one. The ref for this one is Jaco Piper, the TMO is Marius Jonker, so we'll see how those guys go. In terms of the predictions, the bookies have got Wales by 6 points, so expected to be tight based on their last 5 results. That kind of makes sense. And Rugby Forecast, the algorithm, also has Wales by 6 points, so that seems to be the favourite pick for this one. What do you guys think? How well do you think these teams are going to go? Do you think Wales are going to continue their path to another stage in the Rugby World Cup 2019? Because, as I said, over 80 minutes, they're one of the hardest teams to beat, and that's been their story for quite some time now. For France, it's a cliche, but you're not quite sure what team you're going to get. They've been doing enough this World Cup. It would have been more information for us to see how they might have gone against England, but we didn't get to see it, so there's still an air of mystery about them. Can they show up this one more time? I guess we'll find out tomorrow. So, you guys let me know your thoughts on this one. If you're in Wales or you're in France, you should have no problems watching it because it's free to air in both places. If you're not, if you're like me in New Zealand or somewhere else and you're looking for a way to watch these quarterfinals, stay tuned for a sec and I'll show you how. But other than that, you guys let me know your thoughts on this one. The squads, anybody you are happy didn't make it or perhaps disappointed didn't make it, predictions for scorelines and whatnot, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later. Remember guys, if you are looking to stream the games, there's a link in the description for ExpressVPN. You can use that, set yourself to a server in the UK as I've done here. You head over to the ITV website, itv.com, and basically they've got all the games for free. So all you need to do is open a free account with them, and they've got Rugby World Cup games on demand and live. They've got highlights, they've got breakdowns and travel shows, so all that kind of World Cup content. But yeah, basically you came here to see the games. It's the World Cup. It's once every 4 years. It's like $12.95 for a month package, which will get you through the whole World Cup. You can get longer if you need longer for other VPN purposes, but basically if you're here for the rugby, make sure you see it, man. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.